finding a lot of similarities between our cultures and between even our languages. In Rome, I was once confused in the shop, and this shop was actually belonging to some Bengali family. I was confused to ask about the honey, how can I buy it? And when I was trying to say it in other languages, I just didn't forget that I should just say in Russian. In Russian, for instance, we call the honey nod, and in Bengali, if I'm not mistaken, it's modhu. So even the simple examples show that we have a lot of similarities due to our common Indo-European region linguistically, and also due to historical ties. There are a lot of people from Bangladesh who were studying in Russia during the Soviet Union time, and also not only in Russia but in all the Soviet republics. But at the moment we also have a lot of students from Bangladesh, and a lot of them are my friends, included people who are really participating and participating in many events and helping to establish and to develop relations between our countries. Also, I have to say that I have a very good friend who works on the RT TV channel, who is originally from Bangladesh, but she was born in London. But she is a very, very special friend of mine, and really a person who represents the beauty of different cultures to be mixed together. And that's why my friend Nadira Tudor is a certain kind of example for me of how absolutely amazing Eastern culture can be integrated in the other cultures, and how those cultures, both cultures, can benefit from it. I should also say about, of course, special attitude of many Russians to the great history and culture and also literature in Bengali. And of course, I cannot forget about the great name of Rabindranath Tagore, who is in Russia, first of all, very famous, not only as philosopher, not only as writer, but first of all as a poet. And even as a child, I remember how we were listening to the song translated into Russian. And this song, by the way, was performed by the group, which is originally from Uzbekistan, but that time it was a Soviet group, Yalla. And they were singing the last poem of Rabindranath Tagore. It's actually the poem which is taken from Tagore's book, the last poem, where the heroine, which is suffering from the separation with her beloved one, is writing a poem, the last poem, as she say, to the man whom she loved. And this last poem was translated into Russian. It was for me a first impression about beauty of the poetry in Bengali, even though I heard it first in Russian language. But later, of course, I met personally, I mean spiritually, not, I mean personally, but I would say spiritually, met Rabindranath Tagore with his philosophical and his philosophical books, his ideas, and also his amazing writings, which promotes, first of all, a great idea of humanity and great idea of the unity of different kind of human values, and promotes these values. Also, I should say that I'm specialized myself in the Middle East mostly, and my area of specialization is Arab countries and Turkey. And of course, unfortunately, Arab countries are now much more connected to the painful topic of wars, especially when we speak about the very center of the Middle Eastern space, about Syria. And I hope that someday we will speak mostly about the cultural beauty of this region, because for me, the most important topic in any kind of subject that we speak, political, economical, or historical, even political or economic ties, can be developed only in the case when we really understand each other's culture well, each other's mentality, and also when we respect the beauty of each other's cultures. I also want to say about the special relations that Russia has with the Islamic world, because Islam is not something foreign for Russia. First of all, we should speak about Islam as an internal issue, I can say, for Russia, because in Russia about 10% of the population are originally Muslims, and Islam is not something foreign for our country. Islam is a part of our history, it's a part of our culture, it's a part of our mentality. And when we speak about people who are representing Russian Muslims, we of course mostly speak about certain regions, like first of all Turkic-speaking regions. Historically, Turkic languages were very widely spread all over Russia. But now we can speak about Tatarstan and Bashkortostan as the regions where those people who are initially Turkic-speaking population of our country, but they are also people who are following the main ideas of Islam, because they are Muslims historically. And also I should say that there is also a very big population of our country who are Muslims, who live in Caucasus republics, and they do also belong into the Turkic family, linguistic family, but also some of them are belonging to the Caucasian linguistic family. And I should say that Russian Islam is such a specific and such a beautiful part of our culture that for us, for Russians, Islam is associated with hospitality, with a special tradition of respect to the elderly people, and in general to the humanity and human being. So that's why I really want to send a message that for Russia, Islam is not something foreign, and those ideas and also stereotypes that are widely spread all over the world about Islam being associated with extremism and terrorism, they are coming also unfortunately into the space of our country. But thanks to our Muslims who are really promoting high level of tolerance and high level of respect to other religions, we do really manage to live in peace. And how in Islam is said, mashallah, we really hope that it will continue in the future. But also Russia has very special ties with Muslims living not only inside Russia. For this purposes, it was created a special entity which is called Group of the Strategic Vision Russia Islamic World, and this group is focused on the collaboration of Russia with the Muslim countries from abroad. And of course Russia, and especially the Soviet Union, has a very special history of the relations with the countries where a majority of the population are Muslims, and that's why we are trying to follow these traditions. And every year there is a special meeting dedicated to the collaboration with the Muslims all over the world, and Muslims in Russia, and not only Muslims. Actually, the main message that I really hear now in the work of this group, and generally in the collaboration of the Russian Federation with the Islamic world, is that Russia takes Islam as a part of our history, and as a part of our mentality, and as a part of our modern reality, but also Russia respects the relations, historical relations that were built with many countries in the Middle East, and also with the countries in great India. And yes, there were a lot of discussions about historical and political discussions about the idea of the British colonial government to divide India in religious parts. But example of Russia shows that when people of different religions and different mentalities and cultures live together, they do really benefit much more from this coexistence than from being separated, because unfortunately, as we can see now, very painful issues between India and Pakistan, and also Bangladesh was involved in 70s and also in very big conflict. So I think those problems, they are coming from this division and from this separation, which was actually made, I'm afraid, for the geopolitical reasons.